All right, let's see. How do I get you out of this? So I'm not quite sure why this is still playing. Nobody's watching anyways. So, all right, there we are. There we are. Okay, as soon as we see someone come on here, I'm gonna see if my microphone is working. Can you tell me if it's working or not? Okay. Am I working? Is my microphone working? Okay, everybody. Well, I'm hoping you can hear me because I'm center myself. Yeah, my cousin used to do all this kind of stuff, so I'm learning. Okay, so I'm answering some questions. I'm Linda. I'm a naturopathic doctor, and I've been in the natural health field for 10 years now. And um, I've learned a lot since I began my journey. And because when you first start to learn about health, everything you learn, you try to put into practice. And as you continue on, you realize that not everything that you learned is practical for everyone. And one thing that I did learn was that just taking an herb or a supplement, even though it can make people feel better, it doesn't heal. Now, I think it did at one time, but because of the generations of processed foods, foods that have their chemicals that make them stay on the shelf longer, all those kinds of things, the things that babies get and adults get, and that needle. Anyway, those things, they do add up in the body, and it makes it more difficult for people to heal. So I am not someone who is going to give you, hey, take this one supplement and it's going to fix everything, because reality, that isn't how it is. And when you see people touting these things, it is a marketing scam, and I don't care how good they sound. Unless you've been lucky enough to grow up on a farm eating healthy stuff your entire life, and your parents did that too, you're going to need more than that, most likely. Now, I'm not saying that every single person needs to dig in, but if you want true healing, that's what it takes, pretty much. That's what it takes, is to dig in. You have to detoxify the cells before you can rebuild them. Okay, so I'm not going to give you some high pie in the pie sky theory. I'm telling you what I've learned over the years and trying to help people get well and seeing people come back and still needing the same amount of supplements that they had, or sometimes even more than they had last time they saw me. That supplements help your body function, but they won't heal you unless you detoxify first. So, having said that, we're going to go ahead and go into our PowerPoint because these are some questions people had. What's the difference between fruit and vegetables as far as detoxification, how they work in the body, and which is better? You're going to talk about blood sugar and all that kind of stuff. Reversing pineal calcification, the third eye, and some iridology basics. Okay, so that's what we'll be covering. I'm Linda Wells, naturopathic doctor at Good News Health Solutions. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So, what is the pineal gland? I call it the pineal gland. Some people call it the pineal gland. It's easier for me to call it pineal because that's what I've been calling it for years. Might be wrong. But anyway, you look at it, it's right in the middle of your brain. It's sitting behind the hypothalamus, the thalamus, and in the corpus callosum, the hypothalamus. It regulates your circadian rhythm. And I'm sure it does a whole lot of other things too. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of studies. If you go to Green Med Info, that's where I like to go when I'm looking for natural field studies, although I go to PubMed a lot also. But you have to remember that in the United States, the studies that are being done are done for the pharmaceutical companies. So the medical schools are doing studies for the pharmaceutical companies. So you are going to get what they offer, okay? And they're not going to tell you whether an herb or a supplement or something is going to help you. In the final conclusions, they're going to say, we need more studies. I mean, every once in a while, they'll do a study because they're looking for something that they can patent, and they'll do certain studies on certain herbs and things. And they try to change the structure. In order to patent something, you can't patent something in nature, right? I can't patent water and sell it to you, and that nobody else can sell it to you, right? So the structure has to change. So what they do is they'll take a natural substance and they'll try to replicate it and add something to it. They'll tell you it's better than the original and then patent it. And so that's the only reason why they would ever do a study on natural health. But you can go to China, India, other places like that where they actually do use herbs in their health fields, and you will find studies from them. But it's going to be hard to find in one of our search engines, but it is possible. So anyway, your pineal gland is involved in your circadian rhythm, whether you sleep or not, right? Now, a lot of times we think, oh, I'm not sleeping. It must be my pineal gland, which releases melatonin, right? That's what I have on this next slide. So here's what your pineal gland looks like. Let me bring up this slide so I can read it, get it bigger. There we go. So the pineal gland, it makes melatonin, and it's involved in detoxification. Melatonin is part of detoxification. As soon as I get done reading this, I'll go back out. It can be hereditary. It gets calcified from fluoride in your water, your toothpaste. At least that's what the studies are showing. They say it may be from fluoride. I'm sure it's from a lot of things too. It might be related to Parkinson's disease and the amount of dopamine and melatonin levels that you have. So this information that I got from PubMed. Okay, so you go to PubMed, not PubMed, greenmedinfo.org, and just put in pineal gland calcification or something like that. You'll be able to look up these studies and see what I found. And he usually does, what he does is he looks at different studies and he makes a synopsis. Oftentimes he'll make a synopsis or he'll talk about a study and what the conclusions of that study were. But he'll give you the link so you can actually go and read the actual study. It takes a lot of time. So one of the problems with reading a lot of studies, it really does take a lot of time. Like I did a study on high protein, no protein. What do the studies really tell you? That's what I was talking about earlier, is that the people who want to sell you something easy. I mean, the thing now is high protein, right? You have to look at who is Edward Bernays. And anyway, everybody gets on this bandwagon. High protein, high protein. Are you getting your protein? Your doctors will ask you, are you getting your protein? Studies are inconclusive. Matter of fact, most studies do not support what they're saying. And I would recommend that you guys go and check out my videos with my cousin Ron, the Untold History channel, about, it's a 2-part series because it was long and I had a lot of research I had to do. So what I did was I took what one person was saying for high protein, all the benefits he was saying that high protein does for you. I took it, I looked at his links that he gave. Most of them did back what he said, but some of them didn't. That's what I'm saying. You have to read the studies. And so then what I did was, okay, he's saying that this is what protein does. I'm going to look for some other studies that say the opposite. And I was able to find plenty of studies that said the opposite of what he was saying. So the fads, all the fads, you just have to let them go in one ear and out the other and realize that everybody's on it and even the doctors are on it. And then you have to ask yourself why. Then you go to Edward Bernays, the propaganda, the man who developed social propaganda, and find out who he is, who he's related to, and then you can go back to all that other stuff and realize that we're all told a bunch of stuff because certain people want to sell stuff. That's what it boils down to. So anyway, your pineal gland, let's get back to what we were talking about. Got on my little rant there. It has been connected to bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. The transverse colon, your transverse colon is connected to your brain because in development as a baby, when you're developing, your first thing you have is digestion, right? You build off of digestion. And that's why digestion is connected to everything in your body, and that's important for you to get digestion going. So anyway, and clean that transverse colon, because when the colon is clogged, all of that goes up and it clogs up the brain, okay? So also studies showed that high fluorinated areas were 5 times likely to have a low IQ. It's also this little pineal gland. It looks like a pine cone. It has rods and cones just like your eye does. That's why the light, if you have a computer on, you have any tiny little light, you have to cover those so you can sleep, turn off your Wi-Fi and all the blue lights that are going around, because your third eye, your pineal gland, has rods and cones just like your regular eye does. So it knows when there's a light on. And for me, I'm very sensitive to that. I sleep very well unless there's a little light in my room. If there's a little light in my room, I'll sleep for a while and then I'll wake up. Okay, so you have to keep the lights off. And so anyway, Prozac, did you know that Prozac is high in fluoride? Teflon is high in fluoride, so if you're using Teflon coated pans, you don't want to use those. And some infant formulas have fluoride in them. So if you go to on Facebook, there's a couple of groups. I think the one that I saw this one on was the can't say the word because I'll be taken down. So parents, they were asking about formula. And so there's some from other countries that are very good. And then they talk about raw goat milk. And there's another formula that they say is really good. So things like that you can look for, but be very careful also in the infant formulas that have a lot of soy, because soy is, high protein. It's a protein supplement, so they use soy, but soy will build up in your boys. And if you look around you, you will see that men, even though we got all these high protein diets, all these things, you compare men now to men in the 70s. Look at the pictures. They all have breasts. Why do they have breasts? Because they have so much estrogen in their bodies. Detoxification is key. And then learning to read labels. You have to read labels. Almost everything has soy oil in it, or hydrogenated, I don't remember the word, but protein. There's different names for it, so you have to look. So anyway, detoxification is key in everything. Okay, so let's look at we're going to talk about the lymphatic system, because the lymphatic system is related to everything in your body, and it's very often overlooked. So the great lymphatic system is the sewer system of your body. Yes, you have feces that comes out hopefully every single day, right? You're cleaning out your bowels, but you also have the lymph system, which is your sewer system. And if you look at this picture on the right, I apologize because I'm trying to figure this all out. And I got some of these words cut off. But basically, you can see the picture. These are your lymph. This is your lymph system. You have just as much, actually more fluid, lymph fluid in your body than you have of blood. So it's about 75% from what I understand of lymph fluid, because it's all inside and around your interstitial tissue, inside your cells. Every cell in between has fluids. That is your lymph fluid, right? So when you get a pimple, right, what comes out? If you squeeze it, you get a little pus, maybe a little blood. The pus is your lymph, okay? That's your lymph system sending white blood cells there, and you have some blood there too, because oftentimes your lymph is overstacking your blood vessels. They work together. Okay, so you have all these little nodes. So you look like, you have lymph nodes all in your groin area. I know when I first started detoxification, like deep detox, I had swollen lymph nodes all in here. I could feel lumps all up and down my spine. I could feel them all up and down my spine. And then I had lumps in my breasts. So your breasts have lymph nodes also. It doesn't show it here, but you do. So your lymph system is very involved. It's also in the brain. We're going to talk about that in a second. It contains your B cells, your immune cells. So basically your lymphatic system is your immune system, okay? It drains toxins from the interstitial tissues through the kidneys, spleen, and it detects and filters defective and old red blood cells. Let me get my picture back on here again. The lymph gland is where lymphocytes are produced. There we go. Lymphocytes are produced in the thymus gland. That's part of your lymphatic system. Actually, your spleen is also part of your lymphatic system. Even though it gets rid of blood cells, so it's kind of, everything works together, it is part of the lymphatic system. So when we're talking about the brain, your brain has and the pineal gland, which is right about here, right in there. Your brain has two lymphatic systems. That's how important your lymphatic system is, that your brain has two. It has the glymphatic system and then the meningeal system. So it has two. They used to say that you could not repair your brain. Well, here's the problem. You have to get your sewer system moving, and your brain is the highest part. So the bottom of you is where it's going to start draining first. So you have to get your brain and your lymphatic system cleaned out in order for that pineal gland to be able to heal. Because if you think of your lymph and you think of what gets hard, what causes those lumps and those bumps, it's the acids that harden and get crusty. Okay, so you think of a battery acid. What do you see? Or you see vinegar that has dried on your counter. You see white crust, right? Your white crusty stuff. Well, your body burns your food, and that creates an ash. When you create energy of any kind, whether it be from your ATP, which is your energy production, but your cells are creating energy all the time. So every time your body is creating energy in any way, whether it's burning food or what, you have an exhaust, which is acids. Now, if you're eating an alkaline diet, your fruits and your vegetables, you can, and you start hydrating your body with lots of water. If you're eating fruits, you can eat as much water, right? Because fruits has so much water in it. Vegetables have some, but they don't have as much. And then you can begin to get your lymphatic system moving. After a while, you quit having allergies and all that kind of stuff. Your head's not stopped up anymore. If you've had your tonsils out, okay, anytime you have anything like that taken out, it's going to block your drainage. I once had a lady come to me who had can you hear me? She had a breast removed from breast cancer. The cancer came back, and when she came back to me, her arms started swelling because they had removed her lymph nodes, and now her arm couldn't drain properly. So anytime you have things like that done, it does affect you. Okay, so where does this lymphatic system drain? Notice, okay, the lymphatic system comes out. Look at what a lymph node looks like. Look at what your kidney looks like. Your kidney filters your blood, but it also drains your lymphatic system. And despite what people think, it really does. Here's how you can tell if your lymphatic system is draining properly. Okay, you're going to go your first urine of the day. First urine, when you get up, you're going to have a jar or a cup or something next to your toilet, and you're going to pee in it instead of in the toilet. Then you're going to set it and let it set the next day undisturbed. And you should have sediment like these two containers have. You should have sediment. If you only have a little sediment, it either means you're alkalized and you're not getting rid of you're not, eating a whole lot of ash foods, so you don't have a lot to get rid of. Or it could mean that you only have one kidney that is open. So part of cleaning up the body, cleaning up the pineal gland, is getting those kidneys opened. We'll talk about how to do that. And getting your lymphatic system moving so that the head can actually clear up. Another thing you can do for the head is, like a neti pot. For me, I can't do a neti pot. It just seems ugh, silly, but that's how I am. But you could do a neti pot. It would help clean up those sinuses. Anything you can do to get those sinuses clean. You can put a few drops of castor oil in your ears. You can put saline solution in your ear. You can, anything you can do. And singing is very good for opening up the sinuses, and it shakes all that out of there. So eventually that starts clearing up. So those are things you can do. You can ear candle to start getting the brain cleaned out, because when you get it cleaned out, then it can start healing. All right. So ways you can get your kidneys moving, because your lymphatic system is draining out your kidneys. Your medical people will tell you it goes back to your blood. That makes no sense at all, because this is all acids. Once your kidneys start flowing, if they haven't been flowing and you got all these acids that are built up in you, it can be a little uncomfortable. It can make your bladder feel like you have to pee all the time. It can burn a little bit, okay, because you're going to have acids that are coming into the bladder, storing there until it's time for you to urinate. So there's things you can do. There's different kinds of herbs that'll coat the outsides. It'll coat your throat. It'll coat the outside. Slippery elm is one that coats and protects. You can do that, but I would not. I'm not a doctor, so this is not medical advice, but I would not take antibiotics, because what happens when you take antibiotics, you also kill your lymphatic system, because your lymphatic system is where good bacteria is, that's supposed to kill the bad bacteria. But when you take antibiotics, it kills all of it. And then what happens after that is you get what feels like a fungal or a candida or whatever. And so it just compounds it. What I do is I'll take herbs specifically for the kidney and the bladder, and I make sure that I've got some kind of an herb in there, like echinacea or whatever, that stimulates the immune response. Okay, so that you can do things naturally. All right. So one of my followers asked, he wanted to learn more about iridology. Okay, so here's a chart that I use. This is Dr. Jensen's chart. He's the one that brought most of the publicity to iridology here in the US. It's the chart that I use. So just showing you how to use this chart. So this is your right eye. This would be like you're looking straight at somebody. Okay, this would be the right eye, and then the left eye. Okay, so the dark black part is your pupil, right? This is your stomach. And then around the edges, you can see is your colon, your small intestines and your colon, right? All the way around your eye. And all of that goes out and it affects the rest of the body. So we're looking for the pineal gland, though. If you look at the pineal gland, okay, here's 12 o'clock. These irises, you can look at them like a clock, right? Here's 12 o'clock. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is straight down. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So your pineal gland is going to be towards the nose, just inside of 12 o'clock, right above, and sitting on top of the nerve wreath. See that squiggly line there? That's your nerve wreath. Everything inside that wreath has to do with the inside, your digestion. Everything outside is your peripheral, your nervous system. So right here, there's three little circles. Right, so here's 12 o'clock. You can see there's the pons and the pineal gland, right? Always look at the right eye. Pons and the pineal gland. Now, everything that has to do with your right side of your body It's going to show in your right eye. Everything that has to do with your left side of your body is showing in your left eye. And right inside, you could say that might be about 11:30, right? Right about 12:30 here because of the way the clock is going. A little past 12:30, maybe. Well, there's more the line right there. Yeah, about 12:30 and 11:30 here. So right here on that line. So if you were to look at your eyes in the mirror in your bathroom in a nice light, you could see it. If you get up close, you can see what I'm showing you. If you have, see, like there's a transverse colon. If your transverse colon is backed up, you'll have brown. You'll have a bunch of brown here. If you have really dark eyes, it'll just be a really thick layer. And you won't be able to see any of these. You should be able to see the lines, the fibers in your eyes. If you can't see the fibers right in there, you know that your transverse colon is congested and it's going to affect all of this. So you could assume that your pineal gland needs some support. All right. So here's one thing you could do for your pineal gland. You can get this off a FullScript, my FullScript account. The information is, I believe I put it in there in the description. If not, you can email me and I will send you a link. But my FullScript account carries professional quality supplements. And then I have my favorites. And if you go to my favorites, look at my favorites, you can scroll over to glandulars, and then the pineal concentrate will be under glandulars, okay? So it has a little bit of linum, which is flaxseed. It has some pituitary in it, 9 milligrams. Magnesium, raw bone, or raw bovine pineal, and raw porcine bone concentrate. So I don't remember how many milligrams. I don't know if it says it. But I haven't needed this for a while, but what I like to do is take 1 or 2 about 30 minutes before I want to sleep. And the pineal in this substance will help replace what my pineal cannot do. At the same time, once you've cleaned out, it will help rebuild your pineal gland. So that's one thing you can do. As far as getting the calcium from being uncalcified, so you have to think of it's hardened, right? So you want to make sure that your body gets alkalized, which is minerals, and that you're using food grade minerals, because when you take isolated ingredients, most of the time they're made from petrochemicals, okay? Even though the structure that they put them together, it is similar. It's not exactly the same. It turns on a different axis. Plus, you're not getting, say, if you needed magnesium and you took a magnesium supplement, if that was all that was in there, magnesium, calcium work together. So you need a certain portion of magnesium to go with your calcium so that they can absorb. You need D to go with your calcium so it can absorb, right? So when you take one isolated thing, you kind of throw the balance of the body off. But if you take it in a food form, you can, your body knows what to do with it. So alkalization through good fruits and vegetables will be helpful for that. You can take mineral supplements. I use a Dr. C7, which is all food. There's 2 formulas. Dr. C7, the seaweed formula, 7 seaweeds, different seaweeds, and that one's kind of higher in iodine and really good for the thyroid. And then there's another one, the macro minerals, which has all your macros. So when we're talking about macro minerals, we're talking about the ones your body needs in larger amounts, like your calcium, your magnesium, your potassium, your phosphorus, things like that. So it has all of those in a form. So I would do something like that, not take you want it to be able to be easily absorbed. So it needs to be in food form. All right. Okay, so we had someone ask, what is the difference between eating fruits and vegetables, which is better? Okay, so I'm going to say fruits, and everything you've learned about fruits is wrong. Why on earth would you be told don't eat fruits? They're so tasty, so good. Let your kids eat fruits. They're so electrifying and good for them. They have antioxidants, they clean out your system, and they're higher in energy. If you look, everything emits an electromagnetic energy. A parasite will emit electromagnetic energy. Okay, that's how muscle testing works, because if you have parasites in you, they're putting out this energy, and when you test it against something that will get rid of them, your body reacts to that, and that's how muscle testing works. So everything has electromagnetic energy. Your brain runs on electromagnetic energy, right? Your heart beats from electromagnetic energy. So you're an electric person. So if you're eating foods, look at their foods are not just based on calories, but on angstroms. So an angstrom is a system of energy, and it measures in food, like your fruits. Look, you have 9,000 to 10,000 angstroms in your fruit. So if you want your body to be electrified, you want to be full of energy and life, you want to eat foods that have the most life in them, the most energy in them. Eating live foods. And then your vegetables are next on the list, right? They're between 8 and 9,000 angstroms. Now, the thing about vegetables is that they require a whole lot more chewing to be able to digest them. They have so much fiber and they have a coating on them. So if you're eating like a raw broccoli, which they say is not good for your thyroid to eat raw, you have to cook it a little bit, because there's a certain chemical that has to be broken down before your body can absorb, and it will hurt your thyroid if you're eating too much raw cruciferous vegetables, right? But anyway, so your vegetables, they have all this fibrous stuff, which fruits have fibers, but they're a whole lot easier to break down and to be used. Where your vegetables, you have to chew and chew and chew, and some people really have a hard time with vegetables because they can't handle the fiber. And then you have your cooked vegetables, which are between 4,000 and 6,500 angstroms. You have dairy between 1,800 and 2,000. You have your flours, 1,200 angstroms. Then you've got your cooked meat, 0. One thing about meat, you guys, is protein is full of nitrogen. So as you think of your garden, it makes everything grow, right? You have proteins in everything. You have proteins in your fruit. Believe it or not, there is protein. You have proteins in all your foods, pretty much, okay? Yes, your meat is concentrated, but your meat is full of nitrogen that's very acidic. So like where I live, our soil is very nitrogen rich, and so it's very acidic, and you get mold and stuff that grows very easily because it's wet and it's moldy. So when you're eating a lot of nitrogen acidic foods, right, your body has to burn that. So when it burns it for energy, it becomes acidic. Where when you're taking in fruits, even if you take in a lemon, even though a lemon is acidic, when your body uses it, the ash, so think of the exhaust that your cells are putting off will be more alkaline, and it will start to lubricate your lymphatic system. It will start breaking down those acids. Those lumps and bumps will begin to go away. It'll start from the bottom of your near your kidneys and start working up. So the longer you do it, um, the more it'll get up to the top of your head. But like I said, you can also go in and do, ear candling and clean out with a neti pot. You can, do lymphatic massages, exercise, all that kind of stuff helps. So that's what we're talking about, fruit. Now, you've been told that fruit is not good for diabetics. I have not found that to be true. If you listen to Dr. Morse, he uses diabetics. He has a video of a diabetic that came to him. He had a callus on his toe, began to pull that callus off, come to find out the whole entire inside of his toe bone and everything was nothing. There was nothing there. It was like, milk, right? So that came off. He put him 100% on fruit, and his all that reversed. He grew a toe back. It wasn't exactly as big as his original toe, but he did grow a toe back, and you can find that on Dr. Morse's video. And I've had success with people who, if they can stay on it, usually a diabetic, you're there because you're eating improperly usually, right? Unless some kind of maybe you got one of those shots. Maybe you got one of those and it caused an immune reaction. That can cause your pancreas to shut down, right? So I'm not talking about type 1 diabetics. They do well on fruit also, but your type 2 diabetes, if you begin eating fruit, I had one diabetic that would eat berries in the morning. Blood sugar started going down. So yes, your fruit does not need insulin because it is already a simple sugar. Your cells will just go right into it. Okay, there's a book called The Grape Cure. It's a great book. It's very cheap to get, but it talks about how wonderful grapes are and how curing they are to the body. So I'm not going to go way deep into that, but I'm just going to advise you that would be a great book for you to read. If you've never read anything on holistic health, I would advise you read that book. And it's very short. It's not real long, and it's an easy read. So, and everybody, thank you very much for coming and watching. I have a special. When you mention this video, you get it says half health coaching. That's not what it is. It's a half-hour health coaching session. It's $50 when you mention this video, regularly $75. Okay. And then January savings, I'm going to start, my school's going to begin. I already have had a few students, okay, but I'm going to start a new class in January. So if you're interested in that, normally $9,000, but it'll be $4,500 until December the 15th because we want to start this on the 1st. So I need everybody to be enrolled so that I can get all your supplies sent to you and get you going by the 1st of January. Okay, so mention the video, and this discount is good until December the 15th. There's payment plans, and if you want more information about it, you can email me, Linda. You can see my email up there, or go to my website and schedule a discovery call. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. I had fun. Have a good one.